I'm Gabe. I have a passion for learning about businesses and the visionaries behind them. I'm on a journey to uncover what life events have connected these entrepreneurs with success. This is Connecting the Journey. Hello and welcome to Connecting the Journey. My name's Gabe. I'm your host. And the purpose of Connecting the Journey is that as entrepreneurs, we always are looking forward. So we want to take this time to look back and see what got us to where we are today so we can move forward with gratitude. My guest today is Denton Aguam, a very good friend I've known for quite a while. I'm excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. This is awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Great to catch up with you, man. We haven't seen each other in a while. I know it's been for sure pre-COVID.
Yeah, maybe 6, 7, maybe longer months.
Probably so. So let's ask with the obvious question: how's things going during the COVID time?
You know, I think this is everybody's answers. It's going well, but we're struggling as like everybody else on changing to the new world and doing everything. But overall, everybody's healthy. We're good. We haven't been directly affected by COVID other than our businesses and changing our lifestyle. But so far, everybody's healthy, which is most important.
Family good? Brandy's well?
Family's good. Brandy's well. Kids are growing.
Yes.
Not quite sleeping through the night, but growing. But that comes with the territory.
Nice. I do remember those times.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Denton. So look, like I told you, we want to kind of take a step back. And a good analogy of that is that, you know, we can talk a little bit about what's above the iceberg, what everybody knows, and we'll kind of end with that. But let's back up a little bit and let's talk about, you know, where you're from, where you came from, and really why'd you get into real estate and how long you've been in it? Yeah,
no, that's a lot of great questions. So, well, let me kind of go a little bit further back. It won't be that far back, but I feel like it's important to tell the story because it's a little bit of the chip on my shoulder. My parents migrated here from the Philippines in the 60s. Right? They were 18 to 20, the youngest of their family, and were told, hey, you need to move to America and make something of yourself.
Yeah.
And not knowing that story until I was older, I was like, man, that was a pretty big sacrifice. Dad became a doctor, mother became a nurse, and provided everything that this great country has to offer. And that has been able for me to be so grateful and my chip on my shoulder because I've got to take advantage of what they've given me.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely, man. I mean, they sacrificed for you. It's your job to take that forward.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big thing. They moved to a small town in northeast Texas called Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
It's actually born in New York. That's where they met. But we moved to Mount Pleasant for an opportunity my dad had. I was only 6 months old and grew up there in Mount Pleasant, Texas. Went eventually to Baylor University. Had a love and passion for baseball. Thought I was going to be a Major League Baseball player, you know, as all young kids do. Played college ball a little bit. And then, you know, that's kind of when the journey started because I looked up, college was over. Career in baseball is over. What am I going to do?
The goal was baseball, like you were.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah. The one thing that I had ingrained in me was that my dad always told me is if you work hard, you can accomplish anything. So I worked hard at everything I did, but at this point at Baylor, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So you played baseball, I'm sure, growing up.
Yep.
Played baseball at Baylor.
Yep.
When you found out, or when did you know that the pros wasn't going to happen?
Probably, honestly, when I got to Baylor, seeing the other talented players and how amazing they were, both from a natural level, I knew that was the end. But I still loved enough to keep playing.
Sure.
But in the back of my head, I knew, like, okay, what's plan B? My parents thought it was the medical field.
Okay, your dad was a doctor. Right?
Dad is a doctor, Mom was a nurse, but that didn't happen either. Nice. But yeah, so when I noticed that, I actually looked at a bunch of different things, traveled for a little bit, moved to Dallas where all my friends were. And long story short, a good fraternity brother of mine's father was a realtor in Austin, very successful. Said, go try residential real estate out. If you don't like it, move to Austin and do commercial with me. I was like, for a 20-year-old, that's a pretty good plan.
Heck yeah.
Right? So I did that. And funny story, Gabe, my first 6 months of business, I didn't sell a house. I didn't sell a house, which is, now that I know, a little bit more common, but I remember my parents at one point in time telling me, hey, why don't you go get a real job?
Old real job.
Go get a real job.
The old
I'm like,
real
well,
job
I'm working on this. Yeah. And then I ran into another fraternity brother of mine whose father owned some Keller Williams franchises here and kind of redirected my path a little bit, got me going on the right foot, and the rest has been history to kind of what we are today. And I'm sure we can dive into that as much as you want.
Yeah, so you, pivoted very quickly from not playing baseball for the rest of your life to real estate, but with a great brand, with somebody that could help you.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you dove in, and it sounds like you took that hard work that you had in the baseball and
I did.
Poured it all into real estate.
I did. For the first 10 years, I would say, of my career, I worked really hard. And when I say that is an element, but I wasn't working very smart, which is a pivot I made in 09. But we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, first 10 years, individual agent in real estate, selling residential homes. And I was the guy that just woke up early, got the office before everybody else, left the office, last one to leave.
Yep.
And then when I got home, still worked some more. I've kind of have addictive personality for a lot of my friends that know me. So whatever I get into, and my wife can assure this, I go 110, 120 miles an hour at whatever it is. Once I decide.
Right.
So I went that way for 10 years, which kind of brings me probably to my biggest pivot in my career and life. In 2009, my father had been battling cancer, right? As a lot of people, unfortunately, had the incident of dealing with cancer. He'd been diagnosed maybe 4 to 5 years prior, had beaten it, but it had come back in like 2008. Well, my father was older, and because he's been doing chemo the last 4-ish years, we went down to MD Anderson, great place to go, unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And they said, the chemotherapy is going to work. It can kill the cancer, but because of the age of your dad and his health, it may take him too. Right? So what do you do? I mean, we had to sit down, talk to family. What did you want to do, Dad? And so lastly, we came up with the plans like, okay, well, how can we make his life as comfortable as possible until he gets to a point where it's unbeatable? Moved Mom and Dad down to MD Anderson, down there in Rice Village. Made sure he didn't spend a night alone. Did minor radiation chemo treatments to keep him comfortable all the way until November 13th, 2009. Right, is when he passed. Now, the interesting thing about that year, why it's such a pivot, Gabe, is because that was also my best year in real estate as an individual agent.
09?
Yeah, 09, I know. That was when the crash was happening.
Yeah.
That's when...
I thought the story was going to go a different way.
No, well, I always start the story with, that was the best of times and worst of times, kind of like the book of Tell Two Cities starts.
Yeah.
Business was great. Selling, I think, as individual agent, a little over 55 homes. Making
that's
good
huge.
money.
For folks who don't know, that's huge. That's
yeah. I mean, there's people that have done a lot more as an individual, but yeah, it was good.
But that's a big year when the average agent does 3 deals a year.
Yeah, it is. But that's me, right? Like I'm going to go full board. Well, I traveled down. In doing that, I also traveled down to Houston every Friday around noon. Spent Friday, Saturday night with my dad, mom, and then drove back Monday and did all over. So really, I was doing it in 4.5 work days.
Wow.
Which has probably helped me understand how important time is and how to utilize time.
How to work smarter.
Yeah, how to work smarter. So it's kind of forced on me versus actually just being smart about it.
Right.
I had to force myself to be smart. And I've taken that through my career since then. But kind of going back to that, I almost got out of real estate in 09.
Because?
So here's kind of more of the bad stuff you're saying.
Yeah.
Working really hard, family, wasn't seeing my friends, didn't have much of a personal life.
All in, workaholic.
Workaholic would be fair. That's a fair answer. And I remember one of my friends saying, unless we're buying a house from you, we don't ever hear from you. Right? Which that's a bit of a jab, right?
Yeah.
Because I love my friends and I love my clients, but got to take care of the family. When I came back, 4.5, 5 work days, got to take care of my clients.
Sure.
At the rate, because I didn't want to lose any business.
Right.
Even though I did.
You didn't want your other circumstances to affect your business.
I was young and still feeling like I was invulnerable. Right. Nothing can harm me. I can do this. I can go off 4 or 5 hours.
But maybe some of that grit from when you growing up playing baseball that you learned is that I'm not going to let this circumstance affect this. Yeah. Right. I mean, there's 2 different things. I'm still going to keep my commitments here and still going to keep my commitments to my family. Man, that's a heck of a schedule to upkeep for that long. Yeah.
And that's where I've kind of learned something does have to give in your schedule.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't playing much golf. You know how much I love to play golf.
Yeah. Should be a higher priority for both of us.
Well, for sure, anything of that nature to re-energize, right?
Exactly.
Especially at a younger age, we think we can go longer, which we can, but as now we have kids, a little older, that to re-energize is so much more
It's
important.
not golf. It's just anything, right? I mean, we
Whatever
like
it
golf, but it's just important to just decompress, get away, reset.
That's right.
I like to call it zoom out,
That's right.
look at the different perspective, be grateful and appreciative.
That's right. That's right. You got to understand where you came from and understand what you have, and then make your decisions from there. Because life is all about decisions. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
So going back to 09, advice I got from a lot of coaches, mentors, friends, and another good mentor that his father died of cancer that same year was you got to grieve. Now, I didn't understand what that meant at the time. Today, I believe it means you had to let time just to process it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's not a day that doesn't go by where maybe I'll look at something. I still have his phone number in my phone, right? It's just because you don't want to delete it.
Sure.
But it just takes time. So 2010, 2011, I took a step back. My business did take a little bit of a hit. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay in the real estate business. I would almost say I got burnt out with just a little bit of life in general, and almost went back to, almost thought about getting a corporate job where I can just be, 9 to 5. But that is not who I am.
Oof.
Yeah.
Makes me cringe.
Yeah, we both cringe, right?
Yeah. Must have been really bad.
Well, it's just, you think about everything. I think that's, if you really wanted to find a pivoting point or an epiphany in life, I think you have to change before and after, right?
Sure.
So like when I went to the Philippines when I was 16 years old, I was a spoiled little kid, and I realized how good I had it in America.
Was that the first time you went back?
First time I've ever been back, the only time I've been back, unfortunately.
And you went back with your family?
Went back with my mom and dad, 16 years old. Probably still can say today, probably one of the best things they've ever done for me.
Huge.
Because it gave me so much perspective on how great we have it.
Yep.
And how much opportunity we have.
And just opened your eyes to the world, right? Yep. I mean, knowing definitely how much we have, but knowing that there's so much out there and how small we are.
That's right. Other time is when I quit baseball. We already talked about that and realized I wasn't going to be a player. Before and after changed. 09 when my father died. And of course, when I got married to my wife, Brandy.
Yep.
When I had my 2 children. I could easily say all those moments I changed for the better going forward, even though some of those changes were negative, right? There's always a silver lining or an opportunity there, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, it's scary going in. It's not, I heard something today. It was like, when you're going through something, it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not always fun, but it's that willpower, it's that grit to keep going because you know you're going to be stronger on the other side.
That's right.
Right? I mean, people do some amazing things and they're grateful, thankful on the other side. They're happy, they're stronger. But when they're in it, it's not fun. You're not smiling and skipping and hopping
It's not meant to be fun, though.
No, I mean, that's the growth period.
Well, you said something there that's important. I think that grit, by far, is probably the number one reason why most people succeed, in my opinion, because they're willing to do what most people won't. Mm-hmm. And I think in survival mode, a lot of people are willing to do things, but when things get a little cush or things are kind of good or everything's kind of taken care of, you kind of come off that grit. If you can hold on to that, and usually you have to have a bigger picture, even bigger than yourself, to drive towards, I think that makes all the difference in the world.
It's very, very true, man. You gotta have something bigger. You gotta have a bigger purpose.
Yes.
Once your good needs are met, basic needs are met, that's actually when the magic happens, right?
That's when it should happen. That's why you got to
when
hold
it
on to
should
that
happen.
grit. You got to, see yourself where you want to be and how to keep pushing.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So you mentioned, I mean, obviously you started with Keller Williams. Your life, you bleed red. You got Red Sox on.
I got Red Sox on.
One thing, Keller Williams is an education company.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, they pour into their agents. I mean, I've actually sat in some of their sessions, and I love everything they do. And you mentioned a couple of times, mentors. So who would be probably had different mentors in different stages, right? But if we're going to pick one, who do you think would be your biggest mentor that's helped you along your business?
Oh gosh, there's so many to acknowledge and thank.
Let's do this. We'll talk about this. Let's do a mentor for business. Like who do you think your best one was for business? And then also maybe think about a personal mentor.
Yeah. And it's funny because they're going to be one and the same,
Really?
which I didn't think. Well,
that's awesome.
Let me tell you what I kind of figured out in my journey with KW. Obviously I joined Keller Williams because they had great training and great businesses, and I thought that's what I was going to get. Little did I know it was going to change my entire life and how I think about things, right? Gary Keller, who's obviously one of the mentors who I get to spend time with on a monthly basis and hear how he thinks and chooses to decide his life. He says your business grows to the extent that you do.
Absolutely.
Right? Which simply means the level of thinking you're at will reflect the level of thinking your business is at. Right? Where we think it's opposite. We think if your business grows, then you'll just become a better person or you'll do better things. It's not. It actually has to start here first, and then your business grows. And that's tough. That's challenging, because sometimes what got to where you are today isn't going to get to where you want to go tomorrow.
It's not.
And you've got to change the way you think and the way you do things. And who likes doing that?
It's tough, especially if you reach that kind of that level of where everything's good, right? Yeah. But there's so many times in my business that I've been in that, I don't want to say plateau or just kind of rut, and I read a book. Yeah. I listen to someone. I hear something, and it changes me, and then it changes the organization, right? Yeah. And so that's 100% true. Yeah. I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, you have to continue to grow and expand yourself, and that's going to expand your business.
Once you get that, life becomes not easier, just a little simpler, because you kind of know where to go. Yeah. To kind of, okay, well, I'm hit a barrier. I've hit a ceiling. What do I do? Okay, well, then it's something that I've chose to do that I need to improve myself on. And that can go not just business, relationships, your health, your mindset, your finances. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, I love the book that Gary wrote, the
One Thing.
The One Thing. Yeah. And as complicated or as whatever you want to call it as life and business, it's actually really, really simple. Yeah. Right? When you really understand it.
Simple but not easy.
Simple but not easy, right? Simple to understand it, not easy to do and execute, but you stay focused on what's important. You can control what you can control, and you can control what goes in your body. You can control what goes into your
You control your decisions.
You can control your decisions, right? I mean, your mind's just like your body, meaning that if you put crap food in your body, you're going to feel like crap.
That's right.
If you put crap things in your head, you're gonna feel like crap, right? But if you surround yourself with people, motivational things, inspirational things, people that are 10 times bigger than you, right? Both business and more importantly, personally, you're going to grow.
Yeah. So when we get to meet with Gary, he doesn't give us some secret business tactic. He doesn't tell us the secret to life or scripts. He always does one thing at the top, and it's challenge our thinking. That's all he does. That entire mastermind is always challenging the way we think. Right? Yeah. And pushing that. And of course, the next step is who you're in business with matters.
Absolutely.
And then third step is, once you're in business, can you generate any leads for that business? Those three things. Mm-hmm. Right? How you think, who you're in business with matters, and then how you're going to generate any leads for that particular business. It's simple, right?
It's simple.
Just not easy.
Yeah, not simple, but not easy. And it's interesting that he does that. And he's, as a leader, I mean, obviously he's a head of Keller Williams, but he's got to. Can you imagine how far ahead he has to be in his thinking?
Yes.
Right. And you back that up to me or to you as a team, like we have to be months, years ahead
Visionary.
Of what we're currently doing.
There's a good book written by Simon Sinek that kind of puts that out in a tactical perspective, called The Infinite Game.
Okay, I've read The Power of Why. I haven't read The Infinite Game. Yep,
that's a good book that he wrote too. But The Infinite Game kind of talks about, are you putting in strategies and steps today in your business that will work forever?
Yep.
Or are they short-term? And there's some reasons to do short-term tactical steps in your business. Sure. But are you doing any long-term that will last forever?
Right.
Right.
And it's tough to be in that spot.
It is.
If you're still in the business, right? And I think you've done a great job of being out of the business, and real estate agents are our clients, so we get to meet and see lots of different teams. And I think that's probably, I'm going to guess, was probably a major pivoting point for you when you decided to, I'm not going to be an agent, I'm going to be a team, so my team can handle the day-to-day, can handle my clients, so I can focus on that
building
and that vision.
Well, that goes back to number 2 and 1, how I think about business. Because I wasn't a business thinker up to 2009. Like I just thought, who can I help today?
You're hustling.
And hustling.
Yeah.
Right? Which you can't hustle forever, but I was hustling. But then I decided, you know what? I need to get in business with the right people. And I did, right? In 2013.
When was that? When was that? Like when you realized that, and now it's a little bit more commonplace to say, okay, look, you need to be an agent. You need to be able to, build a team. Like I think people are more aware of that. But when was that aha when you were like, man, I've been doing this not wrong, but not the best way for the past 10 years?
So, gosh, I'm not sure if I can pinpoint an exact time. I know I always heard it, but I wasn't listening to it.
That's a good one.
Right? Yep. I heard people say it. I think somewhere around 2012 when I finally decided I'm going to stay in real estate, but I'm not going to go back to what I was doing, because if I did go back, all the way to midnight oil, as they say, burn to midnight oil, how was I going to raise a family? How was I going to find somebody to marry me who was going to be a workaholic, right? So I knew, again, something had to give. I just had to get more efficient with the time, and one way to do that is through leverage by finding the right people. So 2012, one of my clients, I met Lindsay Knight, and I started the business with her.
She was a client?
She was a client. They were past clients. Matter of fact, most of my team members are past clients.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and again, you got to find the right people.
Start with the people. Started
end of 2012, said, all right, let's do this in 2013, and it's grown. We've had our ups and downs. We got up to about 25 people on the team, give or take some, down to I think about a dozen now. But we're still doing the same amount of business with half the people because we have the right people.
Right. Right people, right seats.
That's right. And now my vision is to continue to grow that so they can have more opportunity, so they don't have to stay in the business forever either.
Right.
Right? So they don't have to keep cranking it out.
So they
hustling.
see it, right? I mean, they may start in that agent seat or that buyer seller rep seat or whatever it is, but you're casting that vision of like, look, you're in this because you're learning it, right?
Yes.
You've got to do it in order to learn it. And then there's a career progression, right? I think that's another great thing that Keller Williams does. They show the path of the career path, right? And a lot of, agents get in and they don't have that. They don't have that education, that team support around them.
Yeah, and the other thing too that I see a little bit of, and I even was asked this question this morning in interviews, why do you think most people don't succeed? And I think it's because they don't really have an aiming point. And don't get me wrong, pre-2012, I didn't really have much of an aiming point. So I was just going on pure natural talent. Yep. And then I got super purposeful. And now it's all purposeful-based action, building a big organization, almost our Disney World.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the name of the show. I mean, just connecting the journey. That if the journey was just a straight line, it wouldn't be fun.
Oh my gosh, right? Everybody would be.
I mean, it's this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Yes. And you got to learn from your mistakes. You got to understand, but the biggest thing is that you have to have the goal. You have to have the purpose of where you're going, and so you can always self-correct, get back on that, and have that North Star.
And Gabe, if you don't have that goal or that vision, any direction is good.
Anything's good enough.
Anything's good. So you don't know if you're going backwards or forwards or sideways.
Yep.
But if you have that aiming point, that North Star, you are going to get off track without a doubt. But at least you know how to get back on track. Yeah,
that's where the learning, the growth, the fun happens, is when you get off. Get off track. You make the mistakes, you fail, you learn from them, and you get back on track.
That's right. So many life lessons in that too.
Yeah. So how long have you been married to Brandy?
So we got married October 17th, 2015. 5-year anniversary coming up.
Wow.
Here in about a month or so.
God, it seems like we were just in Steamboat skiing before you were married.
I know, which wasn't too long ago.
No, it wasn't. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. How's she doing?
Amazing. I definitely, as people call it, married out of my league.
I'm glad you said it.
She is. I mean, just does everything. Amazing mom, amazing businesswoman.
Yeah, she is.
Right. Amazing wife, does a lot of great things. So I really got lucky.
How'd y'all meet?
So through real estate. So she's a real estate attorney.
Okay.
And back in 2010-ish, I was doing some short sales. So we kind of had to know each other. We didn't really date back then. And we had met, and then eventually just one thing led to another. We went on our first date, and the rest was history.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now two kids?
2 kids. Nash, who will be 4 here shortly. He's a character. That kid's going to be hilarious. And then we have a baby girl named Kai, who's 7 months old. The one not sleeping.
The one that's keeping you up.
The one that's keeping us up.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Denton. How are you going to, and this is a selfish question also for me, but how are you going to, it took you till you were 16 to going back to the Philippines to have that perspective.
Sure.
How are you going to give that to Nash? And I guess my question is, how do we let our kids
know how good they have it?
Well, deeper than like, how do we? You want our kids to have an abundant mindset, right? But how do we do that without creating little spoiled little brats?
It's tough. I don't know if anybody has the answer. I know that's our aiming point, and we're taking a few steps. So one of my other mentors who, you asked a bunch, and I won't be able to name all of them, but David Osborne has been grateful both in business and personal. Unbelievable. And we both agree.
Family man. I mean, he's such a good dude.
He goes and he's continuing to build and improve on his life with his family. And we even said one time, I think one thing that everybody should do when they're of age, and we're going to do this with Nash and Kai, is go to a third world country. I think that's one thing we definitely are going to do.
Yeah. We
love to travel, but I think it'd be good not only see their home country, but also see how else the world works. I think the other thing is, and you're already starting with your kids, but we're going to start too on start now. Like, don't wait till they're 16 or 17 years old. Give them books, have them read stuff from Robert Kiyosaki to understand money.
Yep.
I didn't understand money. I had to learn that the hard way. And I think John Maxwell said it best, but he said at one point in time, the reason why he grew and became such a great leader is because his father made him read books before he was 18. So his father and family did not pay him to do chores. That was table stakes.
Yeah. Make
your bed, take out the trash, clean kitchen, whatever it is, do this, do that. Those are table stakes, just have a roof over your head.
Exactly.
Where some people pay their kids to do that, and that's kind of was a little bit of my mindset, but I changed it. He paid his son, John, to read books. The more books he read, the more money he made.
Yep.
Right? And at that age, you're like, well, I'm going to read more books to make money. Well, the funny thing is he said he read 22 of the top 25 business books before he was 18, John Maxwell. And the reason why he didn't read the other 3 is because they weren't published yet when he was 18. So he ended up reading those too.
Wow.
So again, just a change in mindset. And I think building that core right there is good. And I think the other thing you have to look at, which is the hard part, is what inside you do you have that you do not want to pass on to your child? Right? If you're bad with money, then don't make your kid bad with money. Yeah. If you're not good with eating, then don't make your kid bad with eating. If you're not good at relationships, don't pass that down to your son or daughter.
Yep.
And that's a little bit harder. There's one other book too. I think it's called Legacy. I'm not 100% sure, but it talks about generational wealth. And that there's 2 different ledgers you pass down to your children. One is a financial ledger, obviously, and another one is a mindset ledger. But a lot of people don't focus on the mindset ledger.
Family values ledger, what
values, how you choose things, and what they found on most people, generational wealth is almost completely gone in the 3rd generation because they don't get passed down what you think. So you'll pass them down to your kids, but they won't maybe get all of it. And then their kids, your grandkids, won't get nothing, but then they'll have a nice financial ledger and they'll blow it all away. Right. Because they don't have the mindset ledger.
I think the guy wrote there's the Wealth Factory.
Might be.
Was the name of that book. Yeah. And we're trying to do that with our kids. And if one of probably my biggest turning points was experience. I was able to go to Italy when I graduated high school, and it changed my perspective. And we were in Michigan last month and hanging out with the kids, and I just try to talk to them and just say, I mean, let's put this in perspective. Y'all have been 10 times more places at the age of 8 and 10 than I was when I was 18.
Right.
And my hope is that they just get one little thing, like one thing from each trip, from each experience that, maybe they don't see it. It's tucked away, but it comes up at the right time, and it just builds and builds and builds on each other. So, and that's what you've done in your business, right? I mean, you started out when you're in 2002, and you surround yourself with good people, and you learn things every day, and you learn from the mistakes, you learn from the failures,
Tons of mistakes, man.
you learn from the people around you.
Honestly, all success is a categorization of a bunch of failures that you did not let get to you. So you kept pressing forward.
Well, learn from your failures, but I think that also the power of KW and what they
Learning
do,
from other people's.
learning from other people's failures, so you
Correct.
don't have to go through it, and being able to create that culture of going, here's the situation that I'm in, here's a problem I'm having, and you have a culture that's open, transparent, and empathizes with you that you can go to and say, man, help me through this.
Yeah.
You know, that's really, really powerful thing that KW's developed.
I could say I would not be the person I would be today if it wasn't for Keller Williams and all the great mentors that I haven't mentioned yet that have been there for me.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you spending the time. It's always fun for me to just help people go back and look at it. It sounds like you do it often, but a lot of times folks don't do that. And it's always fun to just see where we came from. And the future's bright, right?
Huge.
But it's tough to go forward with gratitude if we're just constantly looking for the next thing.
That's right.
Yeah. So, hey guys, thanks for joining us on the Connecting the Journey. I hope that you can take some time to look back at your past so you can move forward with gratitude. Thanks. Have a wonderful day, and until next time.